Hi, my name is Kelsey Rose, and welcome to the GoFormz office hours. This quarter, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to have a year-end review of all of the amazing things we released in 2024. Then we're going to take a look forward into what to be expecting in 2025 and what we're thinking about as we tackle the new year. Finally, we'll wrap it up with some ways that you can reach out to me directly and follow up with any questions or feature requests you have for our product and engineering team. Like I mentioned, I'm Kelsey Rose. I'm the VP of Product at GoFormz. I've been with the company for about 6 years, and I've had the privilege of watching GoFormz grow into the amazing product that it is today and have the purview into what it is that we're tackling in the future, especially in this exciting new day and age. So let's get started. Like I mentioned, here's our agenda. I won't spend too much time here because I really want to dive into the meat of what we're going to talk about today. In 2024, we released some amazing features around templates and forms, mobile apps, workflow and automation, users, groups, and permissions. I'm really excited to highlight some of those things that we released that you may have missed and aren't taking advantage of today. Then we're going to have that look forward into 2025, some of the concepts that we're focusing on to improve your experience while using GoFormz and make sure that you're getting the best benefit out of your data capture and the data that you're using to power your business. Finally, we'll wrap it up with some insights on ways that you can reach out to us, learn more from our blog, and submit feature requests back to our team. Let's get started. We're just going to start here with templates and forms. We did a lot of work in the templates and forms area this year, especially around quality of life and ease of use. One thing we released actually at the end of last year, but have since improved upon over this year, is our page editor, specifically our page elements. You can now drag and drop things onto the background of your PDF of your form view. This can include things like lines, text, images, and now as of in 2024, checkboxes and tables. What this really allows you to do is build a template from scratch within GoFormz. No longer do you need to have a PDF to get started in order to take the full advantage of that form view that we have. You can add these elements to a blank page or to your existing PDF and then have them be a living element moving forward. What that means is if you have a logo on your forms and you've used an image element to add that logo in, then you rebrand in a couple of years, you can go in and change that template's logo, have all of the previous forms still be under the old logo that you had during that branding cycle, and then have all future forms from that template exhibit the new logo. So it makes it a living document that you can always change on the fly within GoFormz and see new forms created from that template version have those details updated. It's also really great for being able to have text and describe different types of instructions as your process evolves. I highly recommend going in and playing around with our page editor and adding in elements to the background of your PDF and exploring the power of being able to edit within GoFormz itself. On our template editor, like I mentioned, we made a lot of changes that are really focused on your ease of use and keeping you focused on the things that are relevant to that template or that use case that you're working on. To do that, we introduced our left panel. Our left panel is a space where you're going to see all the different parts of a template and the things that are relevant to that template. So that's going to include things like the field editor, which is the traditional use of the template editor, the page editor, which is the elements portion, and also a place where you can go and add new pages, delete pages, reorder pages, whatever you would like on that form view. The forms, this is where it's going to give you a list of the forms that have been created from that template, just like on our forms tab, but now this is going to be specifically tailored to the forms that were created from that template itself. We also have workflows on that left panel, similar to forms. It's going to give you a list of all of the workflows you've created that involve that template that you're working on. We also expect to be seeing many more things on the left panel as we grow it out and we grow out the use case and the centralization of the template itself. We also introduced some better field management. We really wanted to make it easy for you to go in and manage your fields, especially when you have a larger template, to be able to manage those existing fields easily and figure out which ones are required or which ones are required by a custom calculation. It's really important to the speed in which you need to go in and edit and understand what's happening with a certain template. So now you can filter those existing fields by your properties. Like I said, with required or are visible or maybe visible on a calculation, we can filter to all of those, get a quick list, and understand exactly what's happening with each of those fields. You can also clearly set a field as unmapped now within your template editor. Unmapped fields is one of the cool parts of GoFormz that not many recognize actually can happen. An unmapped field is a field that can capture data as part of your template or part of your form without it being visible on your form view or your list view. It's one that the form user, the person filling out the form, won't necessarily interact with, but can be calculating different data points based off the values that they are entering in the background. You can then use that unmapped field as a way of capturing data, calculating data, and use it in your reports, in your workflow, in an email, whatever it may be. Finally, we added shortcut keys for replicating fields. Replicating fields is another really cool part of what GoFormz offers when capturing data. A replicated field is a multiple instances of a field throughout your form. So think things like an email, a first name, a last name, a phone number, things that show up multiple times on a longer form. When you wanted to replicate a field in the past, which you can still do today, you need to drag and drop the field from the existing fields tab onto your form one by one. But if it's a name or an email address or something similar, typically they're showing up maybe 5, 10, 15 times, depending on the length of the form. Now you can replicate those fields with the simple command shortcut keys with Command-Shift-V and Control-Shift-V on PC and Mac, respectively. Now, being able to do that allows you to be able to not only replicate fields within seconds, where it would have taken minutes before, but you can also do this in bulk and replicate multiple fields all at the same time, just using simple keyboard shortcuts. Another cool thing about introducing our left panel is now we have that selective view of your forms that are particular to the template that you're viewing. What this means is we can now introduce things that we couldn't before, like updating the template version of multiple forms because you have this selected view that's particular to just a single template. Now that you're in this view of forms created from the same template, you simply need to check all of the boxes, make sure they meet the criteria for updating the template version, like they are in a draft mode, they're not completed, and you can update the background template version of all of these forms with just a couple of clicks, something that may have taken you 5, 10, 15 to an hour, depending on the volume of the forms that you needed to update. This is great in the case in which you had a template version that had an issue, like the forms created from it couldn't be completed, and being completed is a big part of your flow, like for many at GoFormz. This now makes it much faster for you to rectify that mistake without having to start all of those forms over again and pause production out in the field. Okay, let's talk a little bit about our audio field. The audio field is a new field type for GoFormz, one we're really excited about because it allows us to do some really cool things in the future, which we'll talk about for 2025. Audio fields can record up to 10 minutes or 10 megabytes of audio file per field. You can have multiple audio fields per form, meaning that you can capture hands-free data while out in the field. This is great for cases when you are wearing gloves or you can't necessarily type, or even if you're capturing data in a different language. Right now, that audio field type will then travel along with that form through its journey. So that means it can be listened to, recorded online or offline on any mobile device or on the web. It can also be extracted and included in your workflows and automations, in your emails, or uploaded as a file to any of your partner sites like Procore or Salesforce. What this really does is it opens up the doors for some really cool opportunities like transcription or pulling in that data and putting it into places like a text field or an email and making sure that you're having all the data that you need while capturing it hands field and much more quickly out in the field. Okay, another way that we really focused on, where this may seem like a small update, but we've actually seen drastic improvement in the usability of GoFormz itself, especially for our admins, is our new folder management structure. Templates previously were the only part of GoFormz that exhibited folders. We've since introduced them into workflows, data sources, reports, and of course, templates as they are today. Now, permissions is still only based off the template folders, but we have made a lot of improvements in how you manage your permissions per template folder. When you're creating a new template folder or you're editing one, you can now apply the groups that need to have the proper permissions to that template to create forms from, or just view all the forms from, whatever it is that they need to be able to do. You can do that right here from the template list page or when you're creating or editing a template folder. You no longer have to go all the way over to the user and groups page and create that disjointed experience. What this really allows you to do is be able to have a full view of what you're trying to find and find it more quickly. Okay, let's talk about our mobile apps now. One of the biggest changes that we made to our mobile apps this year was actually one on the back end, but hopefully one that you've noticed as an existing GoFormz customer or one that you can fully take advantage of as a new customer. Over the last couple of years, we have rewritten our entire sync process. What that means now is our sync is running more efficiently and you're getting data to your device more quickly so you can get out in the field, go offline and capture your data and have full confidence that you're going to have all of the right templates and data sources available to you. Our sync is now running in parallel to each other. So we have our full sync over here where it's talking about our forms, our templates, our permissions. And then we have our data source sync running over here, and they're going at the same time. What this really allows us to do is sync all the necessary types of data that we need to that form to that device in order for you to capture the right data, but then also make large data sources available more quickly. In some cases, we're seeing a 10x improvement on large data source syncing, going from 15 minutes all the way down to 1 minute just to sync all of that data at the same time. On the other side of it, we're also now allowing you to be able to have transfer notifications within the mobile app. This is our first introduction of any kind of notification within the GoFormz mobile app. And it's similar to the audio field where we're really excited about the doors that this opens for us. There's a new notification center here where you're able to see every single time a form is transferred to you and see if they're read, unread, or clear all of those notifications if you'd like. The real power of this is that you're basically saying, here, this is assigned to you. This is now in your camp. It's been transferred to you. You need to do something with this form per the process that you set up for your GoFormz forms. What this opens the door for us to do is introduce other types of notifications and comments, things like push notifications to the mobile device, transfer comments saying, hey, I rejected this because of XYZ. Please go address it instead of leaving it up to the person who received the form to go figure it out. This also is mimicked on our web app. So you'll have a parody of the notifications where you can check it here on your mobile app, then go into the web app and see the same notification or vice versa. Okay, let's get into our workflow and automation space. This is one of our most exciting spaces and one that we've seen grow significantly over the last year. Now, this was one we actually released earlier in the year, but we've seen a lot of benefit from, so I wanted to highlight it here. Our workflow dashboard gives you a full metric view of the performance of your workflows and automations. It's going to tell you your success rate, your failed jobs, how many active workflows you're actually running, where your largest failure rates are, where your success and failures by date. It's going to show you all the necessary information to make sure that your workflows are running correctly and any errors are found quickly and addressed by you and your team. One of our biggest focus from the workflow side is to make sure that it's easy to use. Our editor has come a long way in the 6 years I've been here at GoFormz, but I'd say this year had the biggest improvements in what you can actually do within the editor and how it operates. The biggest thing is those usability items on that left panel of your workflow editor. You can now scroll through more seamlessly and be able to see all of the steps that you need to see by simply going up and down while never losing track of the right side of the body. You can drag and drop steps now, so no longer do you need to reorder them by doing a one at a time up or down. Just drag and drop them. You can move them in and out depending on what you need to do, or maybe you put things in the wrong order, whatever it would be. Similarly, you can also add steps in between steps. This allows you to be able to say, oh, I forgot the export form to PDF step before I wanted to upload it to Box or send it as an email. Just go ahead and add it in. You don't have to start over anymore. One of the biggest things that we've changed in order to help you avoid that start over is you are now able to change the workflow trigger itself. So you don't have to go in and create a workflow trigger or a new workflow if you have the wrong trigger. Just go in and update that trigger and keep all your existing work intact. Similarly, we also now allow you to trigger a workflow off of multiple templates. So for those workflows, like you're sending an email, you're exporting the file to upload to a Box, a Dropbox, a Google, a Procore, whatever it may be, you would have had to in the past choose to be one single template and have multiple workflows doing that for individual templates, or all templates, meaning any form that's created or completed or whatever it may be in your account would go through this workflow process. that created a very restricting structure. So now you're able to choose any kind of template that you would like, any template folder for all current and futures in that template, or just the ones that are currently in that template folder, and any combination of the two of them. You could still do all templates or just an individual template, but this now just gives you more flexibility on who and how you're triggering that workflow to run and upload that form, export that form, grab data from that form, whatever it may be. Another change we made this year is we introduced versioning similar to how you see it on your template side to workflows. This means that you can save workflows as a draft, you can revert back to a previous version, you can publish when you're ready to make it live and accessible and in action. You can also still make it active or inactive. So you have a lot of options on how you can go in and edit your workflow and how you can be ready to be able to make it something that's live, usable, and executing. You can also add comments to your versions. You can do this both on the template and the workflow side, both things new this year, which can give context if you have multiple people working, or just for yourself to save as a note, say, hey, I updated this step, added this step because of this. It's going to give you a little bit more context and give yourself an idea of why you changed this, why this version was created. And then when you go back to it, you know what you're going back to if you're reverting, or if you just need to see the notes on what was changed. Finally, we've improved our error handling and error exposure. This is a big part of workflow and automation, one that I highly recommend using when you're looking into the automation space, because it's going to give you good insight into why something didn't work out the way you were expecting it to. For example, in this change form status part of our job, this step didn't execute because the form was already completed. So in this step, I was trying to complete the form, but the form that I was trying to change was already completed. So it just didn't quite make sense. What we're looking at here is a better way for you to be able to manage and execute and troubleshoot on your own. We're still here as a resource. Please still reach out to us at support@GoFormz.com or through the Intercom bubble if you have any questions at all about workflow or how we can best help you. But having these error logs and this error handling and plain language called out in red makes it very clear on what it is you need to go update. So you don't need to even bother reaching out to us. You can just go edit this yourself, address it, and move forward. Okay, finally, let's talk about users, groups, and permissions. Now, we made a lot of changes with users, groups, and permissions this year. We introduced a few new permissions, and we also made some UI updates and functionality updates to make sure that you're managing your users and their permissions with ease and without confusion. The first permission that we introduced was to view only the forms from members within your group. What this means is you can now have members within a group that only see the forms created from the templates that they have access to from those within the group that they share. What way it worked previously is if you had view forms on, you would be able to see all the forms created from that template folder, not just those within the group that you are in as a user. Now you can isolate it to just those within the group that you are in as a user and the template folder that you have permission to, creating a very siloed idea of who and who can see what when it comes to the forms being created and have access to those forms if you choose to. The other permission, the other way, is absolutely still possible, so please continue to use that if that fits your use case. But this is just another option for how you can create different permissions. We also added workflow access permissions to non-admins. This now means that you can make groups able to edit and view workflows themselves. If you have this access turned on for a group, they can go in and create new workflows, edit workflows, and view your existing workflows today. Previously, this was something exclusive to admins, but we know a lot of you have others that are working on some of these complex parts of GoFormz, like our automations or making sure that they're running, and that's their job. That's their role, is to make sure that these stay on task. So they don't need to be admins, but they do need to have access to workflow, which is what this permission is for. Now, on the users and groups management side, we did do several updates to the UI of how users and groups are presented. You'll now see this tab structure here where you can click on users and you can click on groups. Groups still represented the same way, where you're able to have these different cards of groups. But once you get into subgroups, it's going to be represented this way, where you have your subgroups over there on the left panel and the users that are a part of that group itself. What this new UI allows us to do is add in some different functionality when it came to bulk updating. You can now bulk deactivate, bulk reactivate, and bulk send password resets. So if you have an entire group or multiple people that are like, hey, I don't even remember my password, I need to get in, or maybe you set them up earlier with a fake password and now you want to send them the opportunity to set their own password, you can send a password reset directly to multiple people or a single person. You can also access a group assignment from the user tab itself. When you're looking at the users here, simply click on the group itself. It'll pop up which group you'd like them to be in, and you can select multiple groups if you have that permission, or a different group that they should be a part of, depending on what you need or the movement that they need to have happen. You no longer need to go into the user, select that group, just do it from the user list side. Finally, you can also bulk add users by uploading a CSV. This is great if you're starting with a new use case, a new team, if you guys are starting a new project, or you're new to GoFormz and you have a lot of users to add in. You can have a CSV where you can export the template that needs to be used to be able to be uploaded, format your data, and then re-upload that CSV into GoFormz, and all of your users will receive an invite into GoFormz once that's done. Okay, let's talk about the road ahead and what to look out for in 2025. Next year is a year that we're really excited about because not only do we get to continue to address your critical needs as a user and solve your pain points when capturing data and then using that data, but we also get to dive into this new world of technology that we're seeing with the prevalence of AI and other opportunities for emerging technology. But at the end of the day, our focus is still our users. It's our customers. It's what pain points do you experience that we can help solve both inside and outside of GoFormz. We're going to do this by making tools that help you capture the right data the first time. This is tools like our template validation, which is going to come out here in a little bit, where you're able to actually give live feedback to the form user as they're filling out the form. You can set validation warnings to say, hey, this parameter is a little out of the scope of what we're looking for. Please go back and check it. Or you can put a hard stop if maybe an email address isn't meeting the right format that you needed to or have the right domain that you're looking for. We're also going to make it better for you to be able to build your template with a smart builder and easier dynamic enablement. So how can you make your template more quickly, get up and running a lot faster with mapping and making sure that the fields are hitting the right places and being named accurately ahead of time, so you don't even need to necessarily go in and do anything but review what's built. And then be dynamically enabled as well, meaning your calculations are predictive and able to go in and say, hey, I see you're trying to sum these data. Can I help you with that calculation? We're also going to have some dynamic options for capturing data within and outside of your GoFormz account. How can you better leverage our public forms functionality to not only capture data from those that have licenses within your GoFormz account and you're using the mobile app, and also those that maybe you don't necessarily need to get a license for, but should have an account, should have better security. You want to log in with a certain way or send a password protected public form. One of the most exciting ones that we've been working on for quite a while, and we're excited to get out there in 2025, is our form journey for every single template. Your forms are all customized. Every use case has its own unique journey it needs to go through, whether that be an approval flow, a simple, hey, notification, this has been completed, or something more complex that needs to go from department to approval, to rejection, to validation, whatever it needs to be. You'll be able to set up a full customized visual flow of this form journey, starting from the creation of the form all the way through to the completion of the process and the journey itself, and everything in between there. You're also going to have enhanced form and usage data analysis and reporting. What this really means is admins are going to be able to go into their GoFormz account and know exactly what their team is doing within GoFormz, exactly what data is being captured and how they're using it, and also identify anomalies that are coming up saying, hey, you filled out 15 inspection forms at this single location. Maybe you should go check it out. Or maybe there's a safety concern where somebody's tripping on a rock multiple times, and that rock's been mentioned about 50 times in the last 3 months. Go fix the rock. We can give you some of that analysis and that reporting all from your GoFormz form and your usage data. Finally, we're going to be talking about ways that you can organize your GoFormz account in a way that keeps your team focused and efficient. What this means is we're going to be adding in a new layer to GoFormz organization where you can have separate projects that silo your users, your templates, and your forms to just what they need to focus on. But use those forms, those users, or those templates or workflows, whatever it may be, across multiple projects, making it easier for you to organize the activities of your users and the data that they're being collected and what they can see and what they can do with it. And that's what we have for you today. We're really excited about the road forward. Like I said, there's so much else going on here at GoFormz, and we'd love to hear your insight and your feedback. If you have feature requests, please head over to our portal. It's the best place. Our product team reads every single request that comes into the portal, and we try to address as many as we can and keep you updated on their progress. So go over to portal.goformz.com to submit new feature requests or see feedback or vote for existing feature requests. You just have to log in using your GoFormz account, and you're good to go. You can also catch up with the latest news by visiting our blog.goformz.com. It's the best place to be able to see use cases, case studies, different ways that GoFormz is being used by others to get insight into exactly what the best way is that you can be using it. And then finally, you have any questions for me or any questions for our team here at GoFormz, please email us at webinars@goformz.com. That's going to be the best place to be able to reach us. And then we'll get back to you with any kind of answers or questions that we may have in return. We also have a lot of beta projects coming up. So if you have any interest in participating in any early access or experimental features, please reach out. We would love to get you involved, get you learning, and get your feedback on how they're working out for you. And that's it. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Please, again, reach out if you have any questions, and we'll be back with our regular live webinars next year. Happy holidays, guys.